Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. I have a complex conversation to have with you today, so I thought I'd have it on a couch. The complex conversation on the table? Your couch. Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. Vygotsky was a psychologist from Russia. Now, I suppose it would have been the Soviet Union at that point. Anywho, Vygotsky was interested in how children learned and became independent with skills. By exploring this topic, he developed the concept zone of proximal development, which helped explain what he thought to be true. He began by studying children's interactions with math and writing skills. He realized that these skills don't exactly come naturally. Instead, children need to be led to understand these skills so that eventually they can become independent with their development and understanding of these ideas. In particular, Vygotsky noticed that, on occasion, children are presented with material that is too difficult for them to undertake by themselves. In these cases, the objective will likely frustrate the learner, leading them to become either disinterested or completely reject the task out of hand. To illustrate his idea, we have the zone of proximal development. In the center, the child can accomplish the task independently because the challenge is simpler than their skill. In education, these are the skills that we don't necessarily need to develop, but they do help us develop the next challenge. As we move away from the center, the task does become a bit more difficult, and the child needs an adult to help them successfully complete the task. This is the optimal zone for education. Needs some help, but they also have some independence. As we move farther and farther away from the center of the circle, the child needs more help in the task until they're completely unable to participate at all. In the music classroom, when we start talking about zone of proximal development, we might consider developmentally appropriate music literature. Meaning when we have students performing in certain ensembles, we give them appropriate literature to perform. Beginning orchestra players are not ready to play Beethoven, Mahler, or Wagner. Beginning band students are not ready to play Lincolnshire Posy. Beginning choir students cannot sing Eric Whitacre's Water Night. You might want to hear that music as a conductor, but the challenge is not meeting the skill. Since Vygotsky's time, the zone of proximal development has been explained like this. The perfect lessons for teaching and learning match the lesson challenge with the learner's skill. The challenge is too simple, the learner is bored. The challenge is too difficult, the learner is frustrated. Harumph. Either way, inappropriate. The best is when the skill is equal to the challenge. This zone fully allows the learner to be engaged and take on the task at hand. In any classroom, we have one issue that complicates the whole model. Most classrooms, you'll have lots of different learners who are all at different places in this model. Some might require more advanced skill to be in their zone, while others need a simpler challenge in order to be in their proximal zone. In fact, this kind of variety in the learners and the learner's needs is not just common, it's standard. When this happens, in order for every child to be in their zone of proximal development, the educator needs to engage in differentiation. Differentiation is the act of meeting the varied states of learners in your classroom through the act of teaching one task. Music classroom, I can engage in differentiation in many ways. The simplest is when I give patterns specific to each learner. We sing a song together. I toss out some patterns for the group to repeat. Ba 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 ba. Then I offer differentiated patterns for individual learners. Some are easier. Ba 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 ba. Some are harder. Ba 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 ba. I give the appropriate pattern with the appropriate level of difficulty to the appropriate learner. Ba 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 ba. Is this tricky? Yup. Do I always get it perfect? Nope. But I keep working to get every student as close to the zone of proximal development every class. But for now, a haiku. Vygotsky made it to help track development. Getting in the zone. BT Dubs, this is my 100th vlog. If I was in the TV industry, they would say, ooh, that's like a major mark of, you made it and whatnot. But since it's just me doing these, I'll just go, yay, I did it. Happy 100.